What's up guys, Roy Video Edits here. Today I'm bringing you 7 tips to make your video look better. Really good, professional, amazing, super cool. Hell yeah. Actually there are more than 7 tips, but I broke it down into 7 points. So yeah, if you want to learn how to make your video look better, super professional, amazing, epic, then follow me here. Let's go. Before you even start to edit your video, you really need to make sure you have good footage. Because you can edit cool things without good footage, of course, but if you have the great footage, you're gonna make better videos. So I advise you to use a variety of filming techniques, like one just from your hands, one from a tripod, maybe one from a rail, anything you can think of. Use your desk chair, use a skateboard, I don't know, use anything, but try to get like different angles, different filming techniques, all that stuff, you know, you need the close-ups. Yeah, and also then the next point is part of the point 1 point, if it makes sense still, 1.2, point 1.2, yeah, you know what I mean. Use B-roll. B-roll is super important. Why? Like for instance, a rap video, you can see the rapper there and you only see the rapper the whole time, that's okay. But if you like zoom into his blings a little bit, the things that are on the table besides him chilling, the items that he has, it brings a whole like lifestyle to it, if it makes any sense. Anyway, so that's tip number 1, those 2 things. Before you start filming, or before you start editing, my bad, hell yeah, just make sure you have the right footage. Alright, on to the next tip. So the next tip, it also has to do with filming, and it is use props. Use over-the-top props, crazy props, weird props, but basically use props that fit the setting. If you have a cooking show, make sure that there are a lot of kitchen items in the background. If you have a video clip about teddy bears, make sure you have a lot of different teddy bears in video, you know what I mean? Not just one. You can go over the top, you know what I mean? For instance, a good example is like it's an old video already, it just shoots to my mind right now, but for instance the Lil Pump Kanye West video, they use like these outfits that are like Roblox things, you know? It's really over the top, but it works. It makes you remember the video. Tip number 3. So the next tip is actually probably you heard about it a lot. Color correction. Of course, everybody knows color correction. But instead of just slapping a filter on it, try and use some tools like selective color, Lumetri color. These kind of tools give you way more control over everything, the colors in your scene, and it's gonna really allow for a real professional looking scene, and it makes all the difference if you compare it with just slapping a filter on it. I would suggest first use selective color and Lumetri color, and then you start placing your filters and slapping all the crazy shit on it, because then your base is very clean and tight and everything looks how it's supposed to be, and then you can slightly add some filters on it. The next tip is transitions. I see a lot of starting video editors and they just use jump cuts all the time. Jump cut, jump cut, jump cut. The jump cut is where you just go from one footage to the next footage and like that's it, you know, it's very boring. So my tip is just use different types and use the right type of transition. And also use a lot of J cuts and L cuts. L cuts are like L cut, for instance, is where the audio from the first clip goes over the second clip, and the J cut is the other way around. And then, for instance, zoom ins and stuff. These things are very important, but don't overdo it. It can look like too much, you know. It becomes cheesy if it gets overdone. But if you take the right type of transition at the right moment, it will really look really great. So my tip to you is stop using jump cuts all the time. Of course you have to have jump cuts, they are normal, but also use other transitions. It will really make your video very smooth. Talking about smoothness, the next tip has to do with this as well. A very simple tip, but motion blur. Make sure when you're animating, positioning, scaling, like all those things, put the motion blur on. It really makes the difference. Stop using like directional blur, this, just use motion blur. It will look very effective. It saves you a shitload of time and it's just gonna look great. And then on top of that, you can also use the fade ins and fade outs in the, however it's called, yeah, that there. So yeah, use the fade ins, fade outs. It makes for a way smoother animation in combination with the motion blur. This is like super key to have a smooth animation to make it look professional. Tip number 6, and that is, of course, it has to do with the sound. Edit on the beat. This thing, some people forget it, but it can make so much impact if you just edit right on the beat. Like hi-hats, you do like tick, 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 tick. These type of things, they really make the video come to life, and they make it feel like as if your footage is one with the audio, so it's gonna really be way more immersive than if you don't edit on the beat. Talking about sounds, of course, the next part of tip 6 is the sound effects. Sound effects make your video a whole lot better, especially if you do them subtle and just nice, you know. It doesn't have to sound fake, but just a little, like for instance, if you have a title animation going like whoop, you hear like a little whoop, that can definitely improve, you know what I mean? Or when someone is taking a sip, you hear look, look, look. This gives a little, I don't know, character, I guess. I don't know how to call it, but yeah, it just looks great. And then let me get to the last tip, is the title, the credits, the letterings and all that stuff. Like for real, it's so important. Don't just use Wingdings, no, not Wingdings, Comic Sans or blah blah blah. Don't use any built-in fonts, but try to get your hands on some other fonts and try to make some interesting looking designs for your titles. At the end of the day, you have to treat it like a design, not like just the title of your video, you know. It has to look aesthetically pleasing. And you can do this really easy by adding maybe glow or a transition, or you make it part of the footage itself, or you make it 3D or those kind of things, you know. Anyhow, this is very important. So if you follow all these tricks that I just mentioned, I guarantee you that your video will look way better, way smoother, and people will be impressed by it, trust me. So yeah, that was my 50 cents. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. It's actually almost 10 minutes, I guess. But yeah, I just really felt like sharing this. Also to my starting video editor homies, you know, I really I need to have this to share this to them, so I don't have to explain it all the time. Hell yeah. Anyway, much love, and I see you guys in my next video.